This is Inline America. Hello, I'm Lon McCarran.
And I'm Kate Milliken. Welcome to San Francisco and Inline America.
Wherever people skate, they also dance. Perhaps it's with a group, maybe it's a solo effort. Sometimes it's organized, sometimes it's not. But however they do it, skaters all across America have caught a severe case of dance fever. On today's program, you'll learn why.
I'm loving this. I am.
He's been called the best inline photographer in the world and has completed assignments for Sports Illustrated, Outside Magazine, and Men's Journal. On today's show, we'll meet Jack Gashite, a man with a passion for photographs and skating.
It's what photography can do, is to capture something you wouldn't otherwise have a chance to study.
Today we welcome back Dr. Kevin Stone, one of the nation's leading orthopedic surgeons and Inline America's expert on skating and health. Later on, he'll explain how two of America's fitness pastimes, running and skating, affect your knees.
If there's one piece of equipment that every skater should wear, it's the helmet. Which one is right for you? Our gear expert, Mario Zapata, will introduce you to different types on the market so that you can be a smart shopper and an even smarter skater.
Ever since the beginning of time, man has danced. Early on, perhaps it was to ward off evil spirits or please the gods. Well, here we are approaching the 21st century, and we're still dancing, but for many different reasons. Inline America went across the country to find out why skaters mix their tunes with their wheels.
Take that music inside your body and let it come out and push it through your skates. Yeah.
It's a way of life. It's a way to stay in shape. It's a way to meet new people and just strictly have fun when you're away from your regular job. It's a release.
Oh, I don't have a dance background at all, no.
So what do you
I
get
can't
out?
dance on my feet. I can only dance on inlines. Skating around is fun, but for me, I need to do more. I need to do a little more footwork. So I started dancing on them, and that's where I really took off. And I pick up a little bit from everybody, and now I've gotten to the point where I make up my own stuff too. And that's really neat, because then everybody else wants to learn it, and it's just fun.
And don't be afraid to go up and ask someone how they just did something. I've had so many people come up and approach me and say, you know, how do you do that? And I'm more than willing to show them. I'm excited that they want to learn. You know, I want to show as many people as possible.
I'm loving this. I am.
It's so artistic, you know, we all love being on skates, but we all are more artistic kind of people, and dancing's just a way of expressing ourselves.
Inline America is brought to you by Pearl Izumi, technology that fits. Transpac Backpacks, the only comfortable and functional pack for skates and gear. And Giro, live fast, die old. Coming up, Inline 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to InlineAmerica. If you want to move from beginner to intermediate status on your inlines, you have to know the right techniques. Let's join our instructor Doug Jebb and his Inline 1, 2, 3 class to learn the critical moves.
Welcome to Inline 1, 2, 3. Many of you have tried inline skating without the benefit of proper instruction. You go out and you do the best you can on your own. As a result, some of you don't start out right and you begin to develop bad habits. One of these bad habits is called the Frankenstein syndrome. Here's an example. Notice this man is very rigid. He's barely flexing his ankles and his knees. He's skating like Frankenstein would, with stiff joints and a rigid stance. He's looking unbalanced and uncomfortable. This next woman has the same problem. Hi there. Notice her knees and ankles are locked up. She's very rigid and stiff, not what you want to be. Our last example shows a man with his ankles all locked up and barely bending his knees. To avoid this Frankenstein syndrome, you need to have the proper stance. Here's our Inline 1, 2, 3 class to tell you how. The proper skating stance is the foundation of inline skating. Good balance is a result of a good stance, and skating comfortably is the reward. You'll always skate comfortably if you're in the right stance, no matter what new maneuver you try. The proper stance is flex at your ankles, knees over your toes, bend your knees slightly so that your tail is over your heel, straight from the waist up, hands in front, and keep that head up. This is the secret to inline skating. Ankles flexed, knees over the toes, bend your knees slightly so that your tail is over your heel, and stay basically upright from the waist up. All great inline skaters, whether they're speed skaters, dancers, hockey players, or recreational Joe and Josephines, always keep their knees over your toes. So whether you got proper skating instruction, go out with a friend, or battle it solo, remember the 3 key points to a good inline stance. Number 1, flex at your ankles. Number 2, keep the knees over the toes. And number 3, bend your knees slightly. Remember, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
This week's Wheel Scoop comes to us from Tacoma, Washington and Nagano, Japan, where we find Casey Boudier, one of the nation's leading speed skaters, sporting white hair, earrings, and an inline background. In this February's Winter Games, Casey Boudier competed in 4 of the men's long track skating events, earning a top 10 finish in 3 of them. He broke the American record in both the 1,500 meters and 5,000 while earning the respect of skaters worldwide. But instead of the traditional ice skating background, Casey started his career on pavement, on his inlines.
You know, I actually just came out here 4 years ago just to cross-train for inline. You know, and the one thing was, I came out here to have fun and picked it up really fast, and you know, and then all of a sudden I wanted to make the Olympic trials, and I made the Olympic trials, and then the next step was making the Olympic team, and I just got lucky, and you know, I timed it just right and snuck in there for the 5,000.
While he did not medal at Nagano, Casey won the largest inline event in America, capturing first place in last year's North Shore Marathon in Duluth. He has set his sights on the year 2002 in Salt Lake. But don't expect him to look like just any other skater. He's determined to be unique.
It's just, I mean, things that you want to do, you should just go do it. It's nothing special. I mean, I've been bleaching my hair since I was in junior high school, and this is, I mean, I went all the way with it this time, and I mean, I'm just like a 27-year-old kid, you know. I do what I want to do, and I don't care what people think about me.
So congratulations to Casey Boudier for setting 2 American distance records in Nagano, Japan. We inliners wish him all the luck in preparing for the next Winter Games in Salt Lake City. And Casey, don't forget us. Remember, your roots are in the pavement.
Coming up, more from InlineAmerica. Welcome back to InlineAmerica. This year, we are again pleased to team up with Dr. Kevin Stone, an avid inline skater and one of the nation's top orthopedic surgeons, to deliver a feature called Inline Fitness. Today, Dr. Stone discusses how running and skating affect your knees.
To describe the difference between running and skating on the impact of the knee, I've got to give you a few numbers. Every time you step down on your knee, depending on the height of the step, you put between 1 and 5 times body weight through your joints. And so a runner, since it's usually a fairly high step, puts up to 4 to 5 times body weight of impact through each joint. In skating, there's a smooth motion with the friction reduced by the wheels. And so the amount of impact going through that knee is dramatically reduced. And so in our patients that we rebuild their cartilage and regrow cartilage, which is what we do here at the clinic, we'll permit those people to go out and skate much earlier than we would permit them to go out and run on the regenerated tissue.
Well, if somebody was a former runner and they're beginning to think about cross-training or using skating as another training alternative, we recommend that they begin to think about it's a different training regimen. You'll have a tendency to be able to keep more of a consistent pace when you're running, and when you're skating, the pace and the terrain varies much more accordingly. You'll be able to cover a larger surface area, so you want to make sure that you're not thinking about things from the mileage standpoint that you're used to when you've been running, but you begin to think about covering more of a surface area and a larger terrain.
There's only so many marathons in any one set of needs, although we have a few patients who have run 20, 30, and 40 marathons, and they are really quite unusual. There, I don't believe, are any limitation to the number of miles you can skate within reason, because the impact to the knee is so much less.
What we find is that if you stay on your skates, you warm up, and you give yourself the adequate time that you need to stretch out, and as a general rule, the day-to-day aches and pains and the chronic injuries aren't nearly as apparent as you'll have in running.
We see very few knee injuries from inline skating. And we have a clinic full of knee injuries from running, skiing, soccer, basketball, and the other sports.
Takes a good eye and a steady hand to take a great still photograph. But when your subject is moving on skates, you have to be that much better.
Jack Gescheit is the nation's leading inline photographer. So let's learn from the master what it takes and how to do it right.
I want to shoot subjects that I care about, that I want to be around, that I, imagine myself doing. And I think that's true of any photographer. You photograph things you care about, you're passionate about, you want to do yourself, you picture yourself doing.
You can roll through. Roll through. Just don't pass him. Just stay on my shoulder.
7 or 8 years ago, I was wandering through Central Park and I came upon what I now know and most people know as the famous slalom course near Tavern on the Green, and I saw these people doing amazing things on 2 and often 1 leg. It was incredible to watch. First time you've ever seen that. It wasn't like you'd seen it before on TV or pictures. It was like, what the hell is that?
That day inspired Jack to get his own pair of rollerblades, and he's been skating and shooting ever since. A native New Yorker, Jack worked in Manhattan for over 8 years, shooting for many major publications, and he was the featured photographer in the first ever inline skating calendar.
It's what photography can do, is to capture something you wouldn't otherwise have a chance to study. I mean, I think frankly often as a photographer I see something on half pipe and it's like, oh my God, I should have a video camera. It's so much more interesting to watch it move. But what you can do is freeze something and study it. And you have to turn on a video screen to see it. You can put it on your wall and say, oh my God, is that what it looks like to be frozen there? Typically, if someone says, what's my favorite photo or what makes a great photo, I would say great subject matter in great light, or interesting subject matter in beautiful light. With skating, there's also the other element of you want to show a difficult trick. Skaters are always bothering me because, like, well, God, it's yeah, whatever, that's interesting, that's pretty, that's aesthetic. Not that they'll use those words, of course, because they're skaters, but they'll say, oh, that's not my best stunt, or this or that, or I'm not as high as I could be. So I guess the best skate photograph is all of those things.
Jack's passion also gets him right in the middle of the race pack.
And I'm watching these amazing athletes. They are just amazing, gorgeous, killer to watch. I feel I've got like the best seat in the house. I'm usually on the back of the motorcycle, pointed backwards to the driver. That's wonderful. I never get bored of that.
Jack now lives in the Bay Area, allowing him to shoot outdoors a full 12 months a year. He thrives on the easy access to great running trails, skate routes, and mountain biking paths, which is important to him because he shoots his photographs with the eye of an athlete.
A lot of what I do in sport is the excitement, the action of it, the things that make me want to keep looking at it and participate and get on skates myself or go for a run. And somehow, through a well-made photograph, you look at it and do get that feeling. You want to participate yourself.
Just ahead, Mario Zapata and Gear Talk. Inline America is brought to you by Pearl Izumi, technology that fits. Transpac Backpacks, the only comfortable and functional pack for skates and gear. And Giro, live fast, die old.
Welcome back. It's time to talk about the all-important helmet. I'd say a good number of you have wised up and started to wear these bad boys. And for those of you who haven't, here's why you should. This is your hair. Underneath it is your skull, neither of which will protect your brain sufficiently if you take a serious spill. But a helmet does, no matter how ugly it is. Here's what you should look for when shopping for one. Number one, make sure it meets the current safety standards. Number two, get one that meets your needs. Are you going to be skating an hour a day or an hour a month? If it's an hour a day, you'll probably want a high-end helmet. Let's take a look at two of them and find out why one costs $40 and the other $140. Both come with straps, both have a polished protective cover, and both come with good padding inside, and they offer the same protection. So why pay more for the one with less material? Really, it comes down to weight and ventilation. Top-of-the-line helmets are more expensive because they have taken out material, which makes them lighter and cooler, but still meet safety standards. The cost is in the technology. The Boreas, through computer-aided design, has over 20 vents, an aerodynamic shape, and is lighter than the Dervish. So the money goes into what's not there, the stuff you don't see. One other thing you should note is that helmets are designed for a one-time impact. That is, if you've taken a serious knock, chances are the structural integrity of the lid has been compromised. So the good news is that your head is safe. The bad news is that it's time for a new helmet. So, if you're still not wearing a helmet, chances are you've got a really thick head, because the only inline fatalities that I know of happen to skaters who were not wearing a helmet. It's time for the mail. Dear Mario, I'm in great shape. I love skating long distances, but I live in rural Kansas. I don't know if you've ever been out here, but the flat roads with corn on either side can get tedious mile after mile. I want some action. Any suggestions? Signed, Dorothy. Here's a couple of ideas. Number one, move to San Francisco where you can join 300 to 400 people every Friday on their wild Friday night skate. Number two, move to New York and skate in Central Park. Every weekend, it's a party on wheels. Or number 3, if you don't want to leave Auntie M, go to Georgia every October for the oldest and most famous inline event in the world, the Athens to Atlanta Road Skating Marathon. It's 86 miles of fun on rolling hills. Dorothy, aren't you over 80 by now, and you're still skating? What about Toto? He must be 1,001 in dog years. Now it's time for our Skate of the Week. We've chosen the VO2 Max from K2 because it's a great fitness skate. K2, the master of soft skate wisdom, has re-released their VO2 Max skate, discontinued in 1997. This year's model offers a lightweight aluminum frame, a fancy new lace-up system, and 78mm dual density wheels. It comes with ABEC 5 twin cam bearings inside. You can find the VO2 Max from K2 at your favorite skate shop. It has a street price of $350. So if you pick it up and skate on it, you'll see why it's our Skate of the Week.
Well, that's about a wrap for Inline America today. Kate, what do you think about those skate dancers?
I thought actually they rocked, and the best part about it was a lot of them were from New York, which is my hometown. And speaking of New York, next week we are journeying on to visit Nibble, the National Inline Basketball League.
Well, we play 4-on-4 because we need more space for skating. Traveling's changed. If you're gliding, you don't have to dribble. If you start to stroke, you have to dribble. We try to make the court a little bit bigger because skating gives you that edge, so you can really get them down the court.
And we'll travel to the Deep South and Georgia to check out the oldest and most famous inline event in the country, Athens to Atlanta. 86 miles of fun and adventure.
It is an event, and it's a race too. It's really both. I think it gets back to who the person is that's going to Athens.
You're skating with people from all over the country, all over the world, and you have no idea how it's going to end.
Thanks for watching. I'm Kate Milliken.
And I'm Lon McCarran. Remember, why walk when you can skate?
Bye-bye.